What is going on, YouTube? Back at it again with another video. Today we are here with Ella, my senior dog, and she turns 10 years old. What, July 4th? Is your birthday? Yeah, you turned 10. Yeah, that's how old you are. Anyway, today we are going to be covering the kind of controversial subject in the reptile community, tanks versus tub setups. Now, obviously, Ella doesn't live in a tank or a tub. I'd hope no one keeps their dogs in tanks or tubs, but she walked into my room right when I was about to film this video, and I'm like, you know what, why not just hold her? Because she's such a lovable doggy. Anyway, let's jump right on into this video with first up being tanks. Now, tanks, first of all, are better suited for viewable animals. Animals that, you don't really hold very often, but, they're beautiful animals for, let's take, like, green tree pythons. They are a magnificent, beautiful animal, and as they grow up, they change from multiple different colors to reds, to shades of orange, to shades of yellow, to green. I've seen a few, I think they're the emerald pythons. If I'm saying that wrong, I'm terribly sorry, but I've seen a couple that are blue, like a very, very, very weird shade of greenish blue. They're very pretty animals, and they're more suited for viewing. They're not a very handleable animal. But for, let's take, like, a garter snake. Garter snakes, you can put a bunch of them, about 3 to 4, in a 75-gallon tank, and they are basking animals. So they won't be hiding all the time. They will be out basking in their lamps and on their basking areas. They're really pretty animals. Whether you have the red-sided, the northern, I think it's Northern California red-sided garters, or the blue-striped garters, or it doesn't matter. They're beautiful snakes, and I love looking at them, and I hope to have a group of them someday, along with a green tree python. Next, animals. Let's take, for instance, animals that don't really need too high of a humidity standard. Lupin is kept in a 55-gallon long tank, and he has a screen lid. Now this, obviously, since it's screened, doesn't keep in humidity very well. He lives in a pretty dry climate most of the time until he starts getting into shed. Then, I might want to start doing things because his last shed was really bad. So I want to keep his humidity up. I'll probably put like towels and stuff covering part of the screen. And I want to try a humidity box with him, maybe, and sitting him in his water dish, giving him baths, things to help him shed better. But these are more suited for animals who need a more arid environment, something that doesn't hold too much humidity but holds, enough. Because the humidity in here is about 40 to 50, every now and again 60, depending on the temperature in my room and how it spikes. So it just, it all depends on your animal. Next on this list for tanks right now is they provide more room usually than a tub would. Now, tanks are heavier, obviously, since they're made of glass or a kind of plexiglass to plastic. They provide more room, usually, because, tanks do get rather large, that you can buy commercially or, custom made. While tubs don't usually get very big. The biggest tub I've ever seen in person is the 200 quart Sterilite bin that I keep Clyde in. And that is, when you round it out with gallons, it's about a 50 gallon. Well, he's in a 55. So that's the biggest one I've ever seen. And these do get rather large. I think Bonnie lives in a 75 gallon, maybe, Exoterra. And Exoterras are very good too for those animals that are viewable. And Exoterras just look nicer, and they're a lot easier to access than these top opening cages, which I personally hate, and I really like the Exoterras, but, tubs just kind of work for me right now. Also, you can use heating lamps a bit easier with tanks, because you don't have to worry about plastic melting or anything. You do have to worry about the screen lids melting every now and again, and make sure that there's no plastic that the heat lamp can touch or get to. so you do have to be a little bit careful with these, but not as much as like a plastic tub. Next, we are going to jump right on into tubs. Now, tubs usually don't take up much space, unless you have like an exceptionally large one. Dune's cage, or bin, actually used to sit up here. This fish tank is empty because I moved them earlier today. I have a 50 gallon pool outside that I'm using as a pond now, and I will make a video about that soon. But she used to sit up here, and she fits perfectly right here too, but she used to sit up here because she likes to look out. Anyway, if she lived in like a 20-gallon long or something, which is something I'd like to keep her in, but her 32-quart bin works perfectly fine, she wouldn't be able to fit right here. And I'd have to put her on like the floor or something like that, and I don't want her on the floor. But she fits right here, and perfect. They are great for keeping in areas where, you know, they're smaller. They're easier to move around. They're light, and I like having them. Tubs are also better suited for animals who need a higher humidity standard. So let's take Dune again. She's my leopard gecko, and leopard geckos usually need about a 40 to 50% humidity level. Now, I did have to cut a square hole in her lid to keep the humidity lower. But let's say if she was a leopard gecko, she is a leopard gecko, a African fat-tailed gecko, I would have been able to keep her in there no problem with a higher humidity, because African fat-tailed geckos, as far as I'm aware, do need a higher humidity level. I'll put it on the screen somewhere because I don't remember exactly what level they need to be at. But it works. You know, you need it for something, an animal who needs a little bit less humidity, you just cut a hole in it. It's not hard, and it works. But let's take something, these fall into each other. Let's take an animal that needs higher humidity levels, and they're a more secretive animal. A tub will work perfect for them. An animal that I've noticed a lot of people do keep them in tubs are blood pythons. These are beautiful 5 to 6 foot, beautiful 20 to 40 pound girthy pythons. And they did used to have a reputation for being a bit nippy, and of course all babies are nippy. And, you know, adults who are taken from the wild are going to be nippy because they've never seen a human before. Okay, bye, Ella. But they are a relatively secretive animal. They prefer to be in tighter quarters. And they feel more comfortable and confident that way. And they do require a higher humidity level, I think of like 60 to 70, pushing it to 80%. I'll put it on the screen if I'm wrong. But they do work well in tubs. And I would love to have a blood python when I do go to Repticon, either November or next year. If they do Repticon this year, I'm not sure if they will or not, because they shut down Comic-Con, so I'm not sure if they'll do Repticon this year either. But if I do go to Repticon and I want to ask my buddy where he got his blood from, because he didn't pay too much, and his blood is a beautiful, beautiful snake, I would love to purchase, you know, a blood python when I do go to Repticon. But anyway, let's get back on track. Tubs are more suited for animals who do need a higher humidity. They're easy, like, you know, tubs are easy to move around, and if you have an animal that's very secretive, a tub might work perfect for them, because they aren't perfectly clear anyway. Anyway, things that go wrong for both of them as far as I can fully function in my brain at the moment is you have to be very careful with both with heating lamps. Now, heating lamps usually do better with, or always do better with, a tank setup, because you don't have to worry about plastic melting unless you're like the edges right here, these black edges, these will melt. We have a couple tanks at school where the edges have melted, but you have to be very, very careful regardless of whatever you're using with a heating lamp. I recommend using a thermostat for both tubs and tanks. I do have a thermostat on 3 of the enclosures in my room. I have to get 3 more for Clyde's cage, Bonnie's cage, and Lupin's cage. It makes it a lot bit easier, make sure that they're okay, and Clyde does have a thermostat with his heating pad, but it's kind of breaking, and it's not working properly, so I have to get him a new one. So anyway, just make sure you use a thermostat regardless. It just makes it a lot easier. It reduces your chance of catching something on fire, or potentially the first thing that comes is burning your animal's belly. It's not fun. It's very painful for the animal. Sometimes costs a lot of money to take them to the vet to get it fixed, but it's just not fun and not safe for the animal or you. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you were wondering why I was looking down, I had a notebook in my lap. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, that's my thoughts on tanks versus tubs. I don't really have a preference. Honestly, I don't. It just depends on what I'm looking for and what I want to put my animals in. Gajil, when he does get big enough, if I don't find a tank that I like for him, he will be going into a 55-gallon Sterilite tub, kind of what, like, Gajil Clyde's in. Makes it a bit easier on me, and I think he'll like it, because he's pretty decently secretive animal. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and that's, again, my thoughts on tanks versus tubs. So, like I said, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful week, because it is Sunday. I am getting a job soon, so I might not be uploading nearly as much, you know, being busy with work and everything. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Bye! Mwah!